I loved pushing the limits of what a woman could do in the military. So I jumped at the opportunity to serve on the staff of an infantry brigade. It was the closest that I could get to serving in a combat unit at the time. And I just wanted to be, I just wanted to fit in, I just wanted to be one of the guys, and I wanted to prove that I could be a badass too. And 1 month into the job, the 9/11 attacks happened. And about a year and a half into the job, I found myself at war in Iraq with the infantry. And that's where Laura, an American reporter from the New York Daily News, tracked me down. I had met her a week before. I had been out on a patrol and met her out there. And when she came to find me, she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found you. It's so good to see you. I need help. And you're the only woman I've seen in uniform in Baghdad. And I know you'll help." And I'm thinking, slow down, Laura. What's going on here? And she described that earlier that day, she had been reporting on an attack on a US convoy. And she had found a little Iraqi girl who had been wounded in the crossfire of the attack, who was suffering from her wounds in the Sheikh Maruf clinic. It's what we call collateral damage. And Laura begged me to go get this girl, transfer her to a military hospital where she can get proper treatment. And Laura said to me, "Because you're a woman, I know you won't let a baby die." And I was thinking, well, I'm not really that in touch with my feminine side, and I'm way more comfortable holding my rifle than I am a baby. And I don't have the authority to make this decision, but I'll see what I can do. So the sun is setting as Laura leaves our compound, and I was thinking, Laura's right, I can't let a baby die. So I'm going to skip all the levels of the chain of command and go straight to the brigade commander. And I'm going to make a case for saving a baby. So I get in there, I get to his office, and I explain the situation, and he goes, "Okay, Keri, we'll go get her." And I was thinking, oh yes, he doesn't want to let a baby die either. And then he said, "And I want you to lead the mission." And I could feel my knees buckle a little bit. Me lead the mission? I'm going to go back to a neighborhood where U.S. forces were attacked earlier that day, and now it's dark. Okay, so I said the only thing I could possibly say in that situation. Yes, sir. So I gathered my team. I got a good team. I got a squad from the Brigade Reconnaissance Troop. I got a physician's assistant. I got some medics, an ambulance team, and I got one interpreter. And I knew as I worked in the brigade intel shop, I knew that this was a dangerous neighborhood. It was a Sunni neighborhood that was loyal to Saddam Hussein, and they were not pleased about the US invasion. So, we got our whole team together, we did a safety briefing, a combo check, we put all our gear on, our battle rattle, our full load of combat ammo. I put my Kevlar over my blonde hair with a little bun in back, and we mounted our Humvees, our light-skinned Humvees. We put an old flak vest on the seat, and we put a sandbag on the floorboards to protect ourselves from improvised explosive devices, and we called that hillbilly armor. So, as we're rolling down Haifa Street in Baghdad toward the Sheikh Maruf clinic, I'm thinking of all the reasons why this is such a bad idea. It weighed on me heavy that I was in charge of about a 12-man team. I'm the only woman on that 12-man team. And would it be fair to trade any of these lives for the life of that one Iraqi girl? And I also thought, well, if something went wrong, I can see the headlines and I can hear the pundits on cable news. They would say, this is why we can't have women in combat, because they're bleeding hearts and they're going to go out saving babies, putting putting their teams at risk. So I prayed to God for the first time in like a decade and said, please, please protect us and help us accomplish our mission. We arrived on the scene and we were ready to activate our plan. We had to split into teams. We had the physician assistant, the medics, the one interpreter go find the doctor and figure out how to do a real medical transfer. And then I was going to take security and go to the room to find the girl without an interpreter. We get to the room and I look inside and I see this beautiful Iraqi girl. She's probably about 2 years old, and it dawns on me that this is the right thing to do. As we go into the room, and we have limited time before we become a possible target of opportunity, we go into the room and I realize we are not welcome in this room. This family is not happy to see us. The mother starts shrieking, and the men around the bed start grumbling in Arabic really angrily. And I didn't understand Arabic at the time, but I think I felt, what are you doing here? You're invaders. You've invaded our country. We didn't ask for this war, and now we're suffering because of it. And I thought to myself, I've got young soldiers locked and loaded. I've got angry Iraqi men. I have to de-escalate this situation. And I knew that mom was the key. And in this traditional Iraqi society, I can't approach mom until they all know in the room that I am a woman. So I take my Kevlar off, expose my blonde hair, the little bun in the back, the room kind of hushes. I approach mom, I take her hand, and I look into her eyes, and I just think really hard, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that you're suffering. I'm sorry that your little girl is suffering and she might not make it, but please let me take your baby. I'm gonna get her help. And all of a sudden, mom smiles, she lights up. She's gonna let me take her baby. And it's interesting that in a male-dominated culture like this, that when mama's happy, everybody's happy. Those guys settle down right away. So mom was the key to the situation. We got her to the U.S. military facility, and the surgeon told me after, he said her kidneys had been punctured by shrapnel. She was bleeding internally and probably wouldn't make it much longer, but the surgery went well and she was going to live. And I realized in that moment, I discovered that sometimes the best man for a job is a woman.